I'm Dr. Ruthie, Dr. Ruthie Stifter. I am a professional sex educator and a blog over at exploringintimacy.com, and I wrote the Nice Girl's Guide to Talking Dirty. But today it's thanks to funwares.com that I am here answering your questions on sex and relationships. That means that you should be sending your questions to me. You can tweet them to Dr. Ruthie, DrRuthie, and you can email them to AskDrRuthie, same spelling, at funwares.com, and I will be excited to answer as many as I can every month in these videos, so I look forward to your questions. This one came in the email from Sarah. Sarah says, my sweetie and I find it hard to get back in the groove of sex after we've been apart. I'm worried about this with the holidays because we spend all of our college vacations out of state from each other. Please help us figure out how we can get more comfortable with having sex once we get back together again. Sarah, this is so true. This happens to so many people. We spend a little ways apart, we're having all this hot phone sex or cyber sex, or we're just fantasizing about each other. We have all the stress of like whatever else is happening, or excitement of whatever else is happening, or sheer boredom as the case may be. And then we get back together and suddenly it feels awkward and it feels like we've kind of forgotten how to have sex with each other. There's lots of different ways that you can deal with this. So take my suggestions into consideration and then come up with ideas together that will work for both of you well. So here are some suggestions for things to consider. Oftentimes I find that for the folks I work with and talk to, what works well is to really make a point of being sexual together with each other relatively as quickly as possible as you can when you get back. The longer you're around each other going like, I forget how to do it with you. I really want to. We've been talking about it. The longer that tension progresses, the harder it is to actually make it happen. No pun intended. So that doesn't mean force something you don't want to have, but to really just push yourself into remembering how to have it in a comfortable, happy way together as promptly as possible instead of dragging it out. How do we do that? Well, first of all, the first part is just getting used to being in each other's space. So there may be some like verbal decompression and have dinner, whatever the case may be, but you want to sit close to each other and have yourself physically touching, even platonically, as much as you can to get used to being in each other's physical space again and hearing each other's voice and feeling each other's warmth and breath and things like that. So that can mean going to a movie and making sure you're really snuggled up throughout. Making sure that you're kissing each other, not in that quick peck, I'm happy to see you again, but meeting each other's lips and taking a deep breath in together while you're kissing, really time together and just feeling each other's bodies and warmth and just merging your presences back together again. That can be very, very useful. Also, as fun as it is to have all kinds of fantasy sex and cyber sex and phone sex and things like that, which I'm definitely a fan of and think everybody who wants to do it should be doing and enjoying that with each other, you want to make sure that perhaps as you get back together, you have a plan for something that's a little more realistic and comfortable for both of you. It may be that you just ravish each other after you've been apart for a while, but if that were the case, then you probably wouldn't be writing me this question. So it could be that, in the phone sex you're having right before you get back together, or the fantasies you're having, or the phone sex you might start having now that I mentioned it in this video for you, that the times you do that right before you get back together again can be times where you're fantasizing slightly more realistic scenarios that give you a little something to go from. So, if your typical phone sex is, wild, crazy, fantasy, hanging from the ceiling sorts of situations, it could be enjoying masturbating side by side and giving each other a hand, if you will, once you get back together. Which brings to the point of opening the definition of what constitutes sex. If it's hard for the two of you to just feel comfortable having intercourse, that's not the only type of sex there is. You can also enjoy touching yourselves side by side, that good close contact. You can be watching each other or curled up next to each other or holding each other and perhaps reaching over and giving each other a hand if you both desire it to be so. And warming back into touching each other that way with, again, lots of kissing and just feeling very emotionally close can be a wonderful way to get used to being sexual with each other. It's just so much easier for most people to feel comfortable having intercourse again once they've been touching each other with their hands and perhaps giving each other oral sex in a casual, relaxed, no pressure. We don't have to have orgasm we don't have to have intercourse because this is already great sex. We can have all the orgasms we want with or without intercourse. And that can make it easier as well. But the realistic expectations, spending that time, really keeping your bodies close once you're together, and then not letting it stretch out any longer than you need to in order to just relax in and give each other that massage and move towards stimulation can be helpful. I'm Dr. Ruthie. I hope this helps the two of you get it on a little easier and perhaps a little more often when you get back from your holiday vacations, and tell the roommates not to come back early. I'll talk to you later.